Heyo everybody, Haku here with my review for episode 3 of The Promised Neverland, or Yakusoku no Neverland. So fair warning at the beginning of this, like I've done for the previous reviews, and I think I'll probably say really quick at the beginning. For each of these reviews, I have read the manga, but I'm not going to say any spoilers from it. Even if something is like a hint that I can tell, but it wasn't made clear that that's a hint in the episode, I'm not going to bring it up because I don't want to spoil anyone on anything at all. The only things that I'll be connecting to the manga in this review is that there's a scene they left out last episode that I didn't mention because I thought maybe they'd show it this episode, and it's not that important, but I'm also really not sure why they left it out. And I'll also be mentioning a scene that happened this episode that maybe it's just me, but I don't remember it from the manga. Maybe it did happen. Maybe I'm just forgetting it. I don't know. Either way, let's talk about this series, or this episode rather, part by part, starting from the beginning. So, starting from the beginning, this isn't the show I would expect to make me start off an episode laughing, but what was that kickball headshot? We just see the silhouettes of the kids, and one of them eats a kickball headshot right at the beginning, and I couldn't help but laugh. But I'm like, this is not the series I'm expecting to just start off laughing from. So we get a scene with all of the main three discussing what's going on, with Carol and Krone being introduced, and coming to the conclusion, okay, we know that obviously if this is a farm, they're restocking, and that must mean they have a source of kids somewhere. So where are they getting these kids from? Are they kidnapping them, or are they farming? Well, I mean, like, birthing them through some sort of means. How do they have this source of kids? And that also means that there's probably more farms. They can safely guess that this isn't the only farm. They don't explain a comment that Ray makes. And this is what's kind of weird, because he's like, the technology that they have is something that seems like it would be past 2015. But if I remember correctly, there's calendars everywhere. They all know that it's 2045. They just make a specific point to mention in the manga that though it's 2045, nothing in the house has a date from before 2015. So it's very, very weird. We know it's 2045 because we've seen the calendars, and we've also seen the date is the title of each episode. So it's that 2015 comment was weirdly out of place because they didn't explain why 2015 was important, or why they would need technology from that time period. It's like they skipped the entire explanation of that, which was weird. Now, one thing they left out last episode that I guess is a good thing to bring up here, because they note that where Krone's moving in is kind of a bad place for them. So what happens, one of Isabella's first moves in the manga that they left out for some reason, is that she sends the oldest three, Emma, Ray, Norman, along with Don and Gilda, who complete the oldest five, to do some chores, clean out this room, make a bed and sheets and everything. And they're just like, oh, this is chores and mom's doing this to distract us, so that she doesn't know which one of us it is, but she's not giving us time to plan anything by giving us chores to complete. And then they realize when Krone's moving in, we just made the bed, we just made the room for our own enemy. She was having us prepare the place for our own enemy and dropping these clues the whole time. So they completely left out that. It's not super important, but I kind of feel like it's shafting Don and Gilda a little bit, so I'm kind of disappointed that they would leave anything out. They're moving at a crazy fast pacing, so I really don't feel like they need to leave anything out at the pacing that they're going at. But either way, then it's Emma's job to go and check Carol for scars, because they're like, we can't find any scars or anything from trackers all over us. But at the same time, there might be one on a baby, so that's Emma's job. Now, they explain why it's her job in the manga. They don't here, but I'll get to that when we get to that. So we learn from a conversation between Isabella and Krone that Isabella's the youngest selected mother ever, and Krone, when she finds out that the secret's out, she wants to follow protocol, but Isabella's covering it up, tells Krone not to think, just act as a body, which I think it's just such an interesting and well-written dynamic, the difference between the characters, where Krone has her ambitions. She has things she wants to do, these goals, but she's being told not to think. She's being told just to act, just to do what Isabella says, and Isabella as well is trying to make her own moves. So I think it's really, really cool. And then we get the Krone scene on her own, which I think is great. We see her reveling in her ambition. I don't remember this scene with her in the room in the manga, but it may have happened. That's the one I was talking about. But I love this, where we get to see her character, the way she is, the way that she has her own aspirations, and she figures that, you know, if I capture the ones who know about the secret, then I report that Isabella knew that they knew the secret. I can surpass her. I can take over this farm from her. I can become a mama. So Krone has her own ambitions, and she's almost sort of blinded at times by the ambitions despite how successful she is. Also, one thing that I feel like was dropped that I don't really remember was when Isabella's telling her not to think or not do anything, she's like, working here will be a lot easier than getting the perfect 300 scores, which made me think, okay, does that mean that Krone was a person who had perfect 300 scores before as well? And that would make a lot of sense that Krone would be a person who had that scores, given the position she's in right now and the skills that we saw her show off before. Or maybe I'm just interpreting that wrong, or I read the subs wrong or something. That could be on me. Ray, I love, when he's talking to Norman washing dishes, he's like, we might have to, and he like moves the fork a little bit, pretty much proposing killing Isabella and Krone, and I just love the sly way of doing that. That was so good. We then go from that to seeing Emma and Gilda with the babies. And now this is again something that was explained that for some reason wasn't explained here, even though it could have been like quickly done in a couple of seconds. One thing they explained with the scene in the manga is that Isabella herself is the one who puts to sleep and wakes up all of the children 2 and under. But the only ones other than Isabella who were allowed to take care of them are Emma and Gilda. So that's why it has to be Emma doing this, and that's why it was Emma and Gilda during the scene. So Gilda tries to ask Emma about that night and what she saw, but Emma just completely disregards it, finds the mark on the back of Carol's ear, and so that's when she figures out, okay, that's where the trackers have to be. I know that Isabella had told her, she said she knows that Isabella had told her before that it was from where they get shots as babies to test for disease or to give them their vaccinations or whatever. And then she realizes, okay, it's something that can be easily removed when we grow up. It won't affect the meat at all because it's just in the ear, and it's something that we can't tell is in our ear once we get older. And she even checks Gilda's ear to be sure of it. So then Isabella we have Isabella calling in, which is hinting at another scene they left out, but I'm still not going to mention it because I feel like they could still do it later on. But she calls in, and I freaked out when I heard the grandmother's voice. Big Mamu. I was freaking out at Big Mom's voice as the grandmother. I was just losing it. So we learned that Isabella's plant is the only one producing goods high quality enough for the Tefari. I have no clue what the Tefari is still, personally, but they're the only goods high quality enough so far. And we see the Table of Demons talking about, yes, we need to sacrifice it to him or whatever. So very, very confusing still. Lots of mystery going on there. I have no idea what that's about. Then we have Gilda watching Emma when they're out for their playtime or whatever, and Krone watching Gilda. Emma then reports to Norman and Ray what she's found, and sort of Ray has worked out that, well, we know that a lot of things about the tracker aren't that great. She can't tell who is who, and it also doesn't alert her whenever we try to go near the walls or try to go near the gate, or she would have seen when we did that multiple times before, or rather when the two of you did that multiple times before. So there's that, but they also figure that destroying it could send a notification to her, so that wouldn't be good. Ray says to let him handle deactivating the trackers. He'll figure that one out. And he also mentions that the other kids just don't have escape skills and survival skills. So again, how are they going to escape with them? Emma comes up with the idea to use tag to train them. We have the game of tag. I love Krone. The one shot of her just like across the yard looking at them was so good. Krone, I've said multiple times, is one of my favorite characters in the series. So she wants to join the game, and it's so good. We get to see her ability to analyze things and to track people, and it's really, really good. She knows the weaknesses of all the characters, and she believes that Emma's weakness is she's too naive, and she even mentions, if you saw the harvest, I'm on your side. So you have to think, how truthful or untruthful is that? Is she telling the truth, or was she just using that to mess with Emma and get her to reveal herself? So, yeah, there's a lot of mystery there with what Krone's doing. She then decides to chase Norman and chases him for a while before running out of time, and Ray catches her when the time is up, pretty much showing them that they can keep up with them, and there's a slight chance at overcoming them, because even though they're the mamas or whatever, basically, they're only human. Then the story decides to bring up the possibility of a traitor really early, and it felt kind of out of nowhere. It felt like, why were Norman, Ray, and Emma bringing up the fact that there might be a traitor right now? Like, why did that suddenly come to them? And also, yeah, I don't remember it being brought up like this or this early. So it felt like we really jumped into that kind of awkwardly at the end of the episode. So I think it's still good. I think that the pacing is really, really fast. A little bit faster than I think it needs to be. And personally, though I think it's still very good, I think personally I'm a bit disappointed that they would leave anything out, because it doesn't really make sense to leave anything out when all the things that have been left out are kind of important to the story. Especially the one scene that I haven't brought up yet that happens in like chapter 2, but for some reason they didn't put it in the anime yet. It's kind of important, and they kind of hinted at it this episode, basically said the contents of it this episode. But I'm not going to bring it up. I'm not going to say what happens, because I don't know if we'll see it later on. But I don't know why we didn't see it at the beginning of the show. So it's really weird. Like, some of the pacing is really weird, and that's my only complaint. Because even if I hadn't read the manga, some of the pacing, this episode especially, is a little bit off. It's a little bit odd. I still think it was very good. I'm still going to give it 8 games of tag out of 10. So yeah, even though I enjoyed it though, I don't know. There were some issues with it that I'm not quite certain about. But either way, that's it, I guess. Like, if you did like the video, comment down there to tell me what you thought of this episode and what you thought of my thoughts on it. Subscribe for more at The Promised Neverland, both anime and manga. I am currently at chapter 70-something of the manga, I think. More anime and manga. Follow on Twitter if you want. I can try to keep you updated there and stuff for the channel, or I can talk to you there. And if you want a link to our Discord server to talk to me or more of us on Discord about this or anything else, just ask and I'll give you a link. That's it. Thank you once again for watching, and I'll see you all next time.